Hurricane Katrina. Was it the event that damaged your presidency more than any other event?
I think it reinforced damage that was taking place. I had failed to get Congress to move on Social Security. Iraq was still very difficult. And so Katrina came along, and it gave critics an opportunity to kind of undermine the presidency, I guess.
So many times in the book you take pride in the fact that you, as a president, were someone who went out there and took decisive action.
Yes.
Whether it was controversial or second-guessed or not, you took decisive action, and Katrina was one of those examples where you didn't.
Yes, the lack of crisp response was a failure at all levels of government.
You're tough in the book on the former governor of Louisiana, Kathleen Blanco. You're tough on Ray Nagin. You say after 4 days it was clear to you that the state and local leaders in Louisiana could not lead.
Well, I don't think I was tough. I think I was fair. I say to a room full of Louisiana politicians, who is in charge of security? I say this to the mayor, and he says the governor, and I say to the governor, who's in charge of security, and I get no answer.
Then you went on to say she dragged her feet. She, for a couple of days, could not decide whether she would allow you or request you to send government troops in.
Correct. And so here's the decision I faced. In order to restore order, some said send in federal troops. The problem is, unless those troops are requested by the governor and or I declare an insurrection,
right,
those troops would have to go into what appeared to be a very violent situation without the ability to defend themselves.
So, what fascinated me in the book, you actually say you went through the thought process. How's it going to look if a Republican president usurps the authority of a Democratic governor and declares an insurrection in a largely African-American city?
Yeah, it wouldn't have gone down. I mean, it would have been like kerosene on a fire. I mean,
I'm curious, and I'm not doing any armchair psychology here, but right. I'm curious, by this time in your presidency, had you heard so much criticism that in some ways you had become a little gun-shy?
No, not at all, because shortly thereafter I made a decision to send more troops into Iraq. I'm the kind of personality that the tougher it got, the more willing I was to make a tough call.
Let's get to the picture that we may have seen more of you in the last couple of years of your presidency than any other picture. You're sitting in Air Force One, you're flying back toward Washington, you fly right over New Orleans, and you look out the window.
Yes, it's a huge mistake.
And it made you look so out of touch.
Detached and uncaring, no question about it. And
whose fault was it?
It's always my fault. I should have touched down in Baton Rouge, met with the governor, walked out and said, I hear you. I mean, we know, we understand, and we're going to, help the state and help the local governments with as much resources as needed. And then got back on a float up to Washington. I did not do that and paid a price for it.
The other moment where seemed to be a huge disconnect between you and the people, especially the people on the ground, was famously with FEMA Director Mike Brown.
Yeah.
We were all watching and we were broadcasting images of misery.
No, I know.
He says the comment came after he met with the governors of Alabama and Mississippi, both Republicans who both praised Brown.
I tend to boost people's spirits during difficult times. And these two governors saying, this guy's doing a good job. Of course, I say, and Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job. Basically what I was saying is, good job, you're doing what we expect you to do.
But it's not what we were seeing.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. I mean, so the only thing I can tell you is you're right.
Yeah, you write that critics turned your words of encouragement into a club to bludgeon you.
They did. Yeah.
With good reason?
Yeah, I mean, as president, sometimes your intentions get overwhelmed by perception. And my intention was simply to say to somebody who's working hard, keep working hard. And it turns out that those words became a club for people to say, well, this guy's out of touch.
About a week after the storm hit, NBC aired a telethon.
Yes.
Asking for help for the victims of Katrina. We had celebrities coming in to ask for money, and I remember it vividly because I hosted it. And at one part of the evening, I introduced Kanye West. Were you watching?
Nope.
You remember what he said?
Yes, I do. He called me a racist.
Well, what he said was, George Bush doesn't care about black people.
That says he's a racist. And I didn't appreciate it then, and I don't appreciate it now. It's one thing to say, I don't appreciate the way he's handled his business. It's another thing to say this man's a racist. I resent it. It's not true. And it was one of the most disgusting moments of my presidency.
This from the book. I faced a lot of criticism as president. I didn't like hearing people claim that I lied about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction or cut taxes to benefit the rich. But the suggestion that I was racist because of the response to Katrina represented an all-time low.
Yeah, still feel that way as you read those words. Felt them when I heard them, felt them when I wrote them, and I felt them when I'm listening to them.
You say you told Laura at the time it was the worst moment of your presidency.
Yeah.
I wonder if some people are going to read that and they might give you some heat for that. And the reason is this.
Don't care.
Well, here's the reason. You're not saying that the worst moment in your presidency was watching the misery in Louisiana. You're saying it was when someone insulted you because of it.
No, I also make it clear that the misery in Louisiana affected me deeply as well. There's a lot of tough moments in the book, and it's a disgusting moment, pure and simple.
It may have been a low point, but soon he faced a different kind of storm.
When you're the president, and somebody says, if you don't do something strong, there may be a depression, it gets your attention.
The financial crisis, next.